There's no such thing as sight reading. And this is the 3-note arpeggio or chord starting on note 1 of the B-flat major scale. You can call it a B-flat major arpeggio, a B-flat major chord, a B-flat major triad. And I hung out with a little brass player the other day, and so we're going to do this one in bass clef. For fun, we'll just go 1 octave. Remember, in its original root position spelling, arpeggios are line, 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 or space, 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 and then you plug in the key signature. So close your eyes if you need to for the visualization part. Imagine the staff, 5 lines and 4 spaces. We have a bass clef on the left, and we have 2 flats in the key signature. That tells us that everything that we're going to see is going to be some variation of the B-flat major scale. Our bottom note is going to be second line from the bottom B-flat. It's going to have a flat on the left. So if our bottom note's a line, our first octave is going to go line, line, line. So B-flat, second line from bottom, flat on the left. Next line up would be the middle line. That is a D. Next line up would be the second line from the top. That's an F. That completes the spelling for the first octave. We change octaves. We're going to complete it with a B-flat above the staff with a flat on the left. If we continued up, it would go space, space, space. You switch from lines to spaces every octave. Then we come back down to F is the second line from the top. D is the middle line. B-flat is the second line from the bottom with a flat on the left. Visualize the flats next to the note so that when you run across the arpeggio in music, even if the flat is not written there, you'll still see it that way in your mind's eye. And remember, you can practice this part, the spelling and the visualization, away from your instrument. You don't need your instrument for this, you just need your brain. The next step would be to play this arpeggio on your instrument. And when you play it, you still visualize, you still spell, right? But now you get to hear the melody, the sonority, the sound. Those are the 3 things you need to know about the arpeggio. Remember, for music literacy, the scales and the chords are words. And so they have to be recognized by sight, by spelling, and by sound. Those are the 3 elements that allow you to use this information as a tool. Now, when you have the B-flat arpeggio, the B-flat chord in music, are you always going to be in the key of B-flat? Well, no. Today we did it in the key of B-flat, but any diatonic scale or symmetrical scale that contains those 3 notes is also going to contain this arpeggio. This is why the basing it on scale degree 135 doesn't really work that well, because if we run across, for example, this same arpeggio, we're going to run across it later in the key of F. It's going to start on note 4 of the key. And so if you do the digits, it's going to be 4, 6, 8. So now you got to learn a new set of digits every time you run across the same group of notes. That's not really practical. But when we run across this arpeggio again in another key, it's still going to be line, 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 space, space, space. It's still going to have the key signature plugged in. It's going to still be the same spelling. It's going to still be the same sound. All of those elements are going to remain. So if we learn it using this method, you can apply this same method to all future examples of the skill. Now, will the B-flat arpeggio always have a B-flat in the bass? Well, no. No. You can have inversions. You can have a D as your starting note or an F as your starting note. But if you learn to recognize the pattern by sight, by spelling, by sound, then even if you run across one of those inversions, you're going to find that you still recognize it very easily. Now, will this B-flat arpeggio always contain a B-flat? Well, no. In practical use, if you're playing a single line instrument and you're playing a band part or an orchestra part, you may have the D and the B-flat and the F are in some other instrument. But if you're reading based on context of spelling and context of sound, this arpeggio is still going to be recognizable even if you only have a portion of it, based on the surrounding notes and the surrounding sounds. If you're playing a single line etude or an unaccompanied solo, and you run across the B flat arpeggio, you may only have the D and the F and not the B flat. Maybe the B flat isn't used in that part of the melody. But if you're reading contextually, you'll still recognize this arpeggio based on the surrounding spellings and the surrounding sounds. It'll still be recognizable to you. So if you learn the three basic elements, what does it look like? How do you spell it? What does it sound like? In the first presentation of the skill, then those elements will become the constant that allows you to recognize, in this case, the B flat arpeggio or chord in all future presentations, in all future variations of the skill. However, if you just turn to your arpeggio page in your band book and practice the technique, so you'll be able to play the arpeggio. But from a literacy perspective, you're not learning it in a way that is practical, that will allow you to use it, that information in a real-life application. My name's Mark Dooley. I've been a private music teacher for 36 years, focused on practical theory and music literacy. If you'd like to hear more, follow me. If you like lessons, contact me. If you can learn how to read words, you can learn how to read music.